Hello, it's me, Michelle, and happy Thanksgiving. I'm sure by the time this posts, it will be way after Thanksgiving, but I wanted to get another vlog kicked off. I had a whole bunch of packages come while I was away at school, so I'm excited to show you all of my notebooks, what I'm going to be reading during exams and during the break. I have some that came for a class I'm taking that I'm really excited about next semester that I want to get started before, so let's dive into what I got. I already opened both of these because I couldn't wait, but the first one is a Life's Library package. It's the book we're currently in the middle of. We're reading Why Fish Don't Exist by Lulu Miller. Look at the cover. Like, look how pretty it is. I was not expecting this cover, especially like the covers I'd seen on the internet on Goodreads, but like, look at it. I'm so excited. Yeah, I didn't know if I'd like this one, but reading the description and the little blurbs and who really praised it, I'm excited to get into this one. And of course, as always, I had the letter, this time from John. I love how the navy and gold match the book cover so perfectly. I got this sticker. It says, "I do love a feeling, John Green." Look at these book plates. It's a little hen or like a chicken rooster. And I love the blue colors. This is probably my favorite book plate. And then the best thing in the package, it is a book fan. I have never seen this before, but look, it's shaped like a little book, has the spine and a little design, and it even has the bookmark, which I think is such a cute touch. And it opens up and it's a fan with a book on the inside. Then next I have this big ol' box of books. These are for the writing class I'm taking next semester. It's called Constitutional History Colloquium. I'm really excited about it. We're reading 3 nonfiction books about the Declaration of Independence, federalism. So let me show you those. The first one we're reading is Our Declaration, a reading of the Declaration of Independence in Defense of Equality by Danielle Allen. So there's that one. I don't know too much about this. I just read the blurbs in the back, and it's by a political science or history professor, something of the sort, at Harvard University, and it's a very close reading of the Declaration of Independence. It sounds really good. It's pretty recent. It's from 2014. So excited about that one. The next one is The Radicalism of the American Revolution, and that's by Gordon S. Wood. This one's a little bit older, from the early 90s, but yeah, I know nothing about this one, so excited to get into that one, and especially excited because the author of that one, it has the blurb on the front of this one, so excited that the scholars are obviously reading each other, thinking in conjunction with each other. And then the final one is called The Price of Greatness, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and the Creation of American Oligarchy by J. Cost. This one's very recent. They didn't even have it in softcover, but look how pretty it is. Oh, I love it. This one, I have read the blurb and I'm probably the most excited about, but it's about James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, and sort of like a friendship to enemies trope going on, but it's just about the history surrounding that, their different ideals in founding the United States and where and when they fell out. So I have a nice little stack of books to keep me busy over break. My class isn't until next semester, but I'm going to at least get started on the 3 nonfiction books because I know during the semester it'll be a lot. I'm taking kind of a lot of credits, so it'd be nice if I could get some of those done. I'm also really excited about them, and it'll give me more time to write during the semester. I think that Why Fish Don't Exist will be a great one to read in conjunction with a bunch of nonfiction, because it's all about how we think about nonfiction and perspective. And I know the Our Declaration book, it sounds like it's from a different, really cool perspective. Hi, it is a few days later, but I wanted to pop on real quick to show you the Black Friday haul because I will be wrapping these up before I leave tomorrow. I am leaving tomorrow and I want to get this done before I go because I'm not going to be coming back until right before Christmas after all my exams are done. Believe it or not, only one of those books is for me. Most of these are Christmas presents, but don't worry, this will post after Christmas, so everyone will have their gifts by that time. And I actually went with my sister, so she picked out her own books, which is really fun. But let's see what we got. So starting off, my dad's birthday is right before Christmas, so this book's actually for his birthday, and it's Why Nations Fail by Darren, I'm going to butcher this name, S.E. Mowgli, and James A. Robinson, and this is one that he requested. So I don't know what it's about, but it is nonfiction. He loves nonfiction, and I'm sure he will love it because he picked it out for himself. This next one my sister picked up for herself, and I'm really excited and will probably steal it to read too because this has been a Life's Library recommendation across the board and recommended for community picks a couple of years. I think it made the top 20 for voting, but it's All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. So she picked this one out for herself. Excited about that one. This next one I saw back in October and I wanted to get it for Christmas for her. This is her favorite book, but my mom was like, no, she already has a copy and I have a copy too. But it is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, and look how gorgeous the cover is. It's green on the inside, and the front cover pages and back cover pages are just this really pretty wavy thing going on. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and it's just so beautiful, and I'm glad I found it again. They had one copy left, so I was like, do you want this? And my sister's like, absolutely yes. So yeah, we got her that one. I might have to pick up the Barnes & Noble exclusive of Emma because that one is pink and purple and it's just so pretty. This next one my sister and I picked out for my mom. It's by Debbie McAmer and it's Dear Santa. My mom picked up a couple of these books by Debbie McAmer at Menards and she just loves them. It's really simple. I read the description. My mom likes like contemporary romance, just a nice, sweet, Christmassy winter story. So this one is about a lady who's reading her old letters to Santa and she sort of like rediscovers hope. So it should just be really sweet and I think that she will really enjoy this. Then next up, I picked this up for my dad kind of on a whim, so I'm hoping that he likes it, but it was on the signed edition table for the Black Friday special promotion, and it's To Rescue the Republic, Ulysses S. Grant, The Fragile Union and the Crisis of 1876 by Brett Bayer with Catherine Whitney. So this is a signed edition right there. It's just beautiful hardcover. It's about Ulysses S. Grant and the Civil War. It's nonfiction. Sounds right up my dad's alley, and honestly, if he doesn't like it, I will probably read it and enjoy it. And then finally, I wasn't gonna get anything for myself, but of course I couldn't walk away empty-handed, so I've already read this book, but it's signed and I just had to. So it's Crave by Tracy Wolff. I haven't talked about these books, but they are so good. So I listened to Midnight Sun on audiobook, and honestly, it was the first audiobook that I ever enjoyed. Blew through that. I've struggled with audiobooks so much. So I saw this recommended on Audible. It was described as a Twilight, Harry Potter sort of thing. The reviews were very polarized. People either loved it or they hated it. So I went in not expecting much. And I will say in the first book that I wasn't the biggest fan of the writing style. At times it's awkward. The number of times in this book that Tracy Wolff says that the protagonist's character's mouth went desert dry is too many. I'm reading the third book right now and she said her mouth went dry and she didn't say it went desert dry, and I was blown away because I thought that was the only way her mouth could go dry. But yeah, I went into this expecting nothing and I absolutely loved it. I immediately I downloaded Hoopla. I got in on that and I immediately listened to the second one, and I'm almost done with the third one now. And I think the second one is better than the first one. I definitely prefer it. And the third one has been all right. It's been really good. And honestly, the end has kind of stalled out. That's why I haven't finished it yet. But yeah, the story, the overall story is just very, very good. I'm not the hugest fan of the writing style. Honestly, the romance is pretty cringy, but I would highly recommend this book. I love it. I'm obsessing over it, and I don't really go for romance. So yeah, just having a bit of a Twilight moment. The last one is coming out. That's the fourth one in February. And then there's a middle book. I won't say anything because it spoils the end of this book and the beginning of the next book, but there's a book that takes place in between this book and the next book, and I am super interested in that one, like more interested in that one than the third or the fourth book, honestly. I also wanted to give a quick update on my reading progress over the break. Haven't read that much, but I did start Our Declaration, and I think this is one of the ones I said I was like, I don't know if it'll be that good. I'm kind of on the fence about it, but I've only read the prologue and the first chapter, and it blew me away. I already have a lot of tabs that I want to track through the book, and I'm really excited for this one. I hope that it doesn't stall out. I hope that I'm engaged the whole way through, but based on the prologue and the things that will be talked about in this book, I'm very interested, and so far a lot of that has already come up in the first chapter, so I'm very hopeful, and I hope to keep the momentum going. I've only read one night, so hopefully I'll read more once I get back to Illinois. Hello, I'm back with some reading updates. Thanksgiving break just ended, so I'm getting back into studying for finals and reading a little bit. I did get a chance to start Why Fish Don't Exist by Lulu Miller a couple days ago, and I have to say I am really disappointed so far. I'm only 4 chapters in, but this book has received so much hype. It just came out last year. I've heard so many great things about it, and so far I'm just not impressed. We're following the life of David Starr Jordan, a taxonomist, and I was surprised by how much of him there is in the first, especially 2 chapters. We don't really get into any tie-ins with Miller until the 3rd chapter, and I've just found myself wondering a lot, what is the point? I don't really know where this is going. It's also been difficult because I've been really bogged down by the writing style. There are so many quotes. She's relying very heavily on David Starr Jordan's memoir, and I feel like maybe I could get more out of just reading his memoir / autobiography. There aren't enough tie-ins for me to really make the use of that many quotes that relevant. In the book club discussion, a lot of people also talked about how the language is very flowery and it's very pretty and satisfying to read, but it feels like a lot of fluff. There isn't a lot of substance going on, and there are a lot of rhetorical questions, and I don't find myself agreeing with a lot of her arguments. I don't find myself considering questions about what she's saying. I was told that this is sort of structured like a podcast. I'm not the hugest fan of podcasts, which may not be helping, but it just feels long and cumbersome right now. I'm hoping that we get into some more interesting topics later, that maybe David Starr Jordan makes a little bit less of an appearance, but yeah, unfortunately, I'm not loving this one so far. The good news is that Our Declaration by Danielle Allen is so good. Oh my gosh, I know I said I went into this one with low expectations, but it has been great. It is a close reading of the Declaration, which is right up my alley as an English major. I've just made it through the second section. So she started with a prologue with some ideas that she's going to argue throughout the book, and then it went into the origins and we got a little bit of history. Honestly, I wasn't as interested in the history part, but then she really started talking about the writing and how the Declaration was written, and I learned a lot of new stuff. So I've been tracking some things that I might want to discuss in class or write about. Right now, I'm most interested in language. This is talking about a close reading of the Declaration. So all the blue here is what she's saying about language. I thought her points about group writing were so interesting. And I'm also tracking in green our experiences as readers. She's trying to write this book for a wide variety of readers, which I think is cool, especially because the Declaration is meant to be for everyone. And then just as usual, I'm tracking quotes I like in yellow. And then the purple is her ideas about equality and collective. With that, there's been a lot of that. So I'm really excited to keep going with this one. I'm making good headway. I powered through and finished Why Fish Don't Exist last night, and I was really disappointed. This book had such good reviews on Goodreads. I've heard such great things about it, but it really just did not work for me all the way through. There's supposed to be a big turning point in the novel, but for me, it was not a turning point. It was pretty obvious from the beginning. This book was simultaneously too obvious and very ambiguous. It was very obvious that the person, at least to me, that the person she was describing was not a great person. I never fell in love with him the way that the reader was supposed to, and that made the whole book fall a little bit flat. At the same time, I really could not tell where she was going with this until the very end. And even it's like the third to last chapter, if you count the epilogue, she starts talking about strings and threads and webs, which is an idea that I just love in literature. I love that in Mrs. Dalloway and in Paper Towns by John Green, but here it just didn't work at all for me. I didn't like it. It felt obvious. It felt trite. It wasn't a big reveal. And the last two chapters were definitely the most interesting part of this book. It's where she gets into the title, Why Fish Don't Exist, but she really did not spend a lot of time on that. And I feel like she didn't reach any great conclusions that I haven't already reached from reading other books in my own life. So I ended up giving this book 2 stars, but it was incredibly frustrating to read. I know a lot of people love this book, so maybe give it a try, but it wasn't for me. No. Then I also finished listening to Covet by Tracy Wolff, the 3rd in the Crave series. I didn't like the 3rd one as much as I liked the first 2. The second one was by far my favorite. The first one had a lot of that romance, sort of annoying dialogue, and you just got into the greater story towards the end, but I feel like the second one really developed the characters well. We got to know a lot of them better. There were a lot of epic scenes, and the 3rd one, it continued on from the second one, but honestly it felt like a lot of the same from the second one, and it was a little bit trying to top the second one. The 4th one isn't coming out till February, which I think is good because I want a little bit of a break from that series. But yeah, definitely going to finish it when it does come out. I'm very excited for the in-between book that's going to come out later in the spring.
I feel gay.
I like to watch you brushing your hair.
Thank you, dear.
Hello! We had a very busy weekend. I had a bridal shower, we had a gingerbread house making party, so I didn't get to read much, but we did get Christmas set up, so I wanted to show you guys our trees. We have a real one, my first real tree, and my little tree over on the TV stand from college. I didn't get to read my physical books this weekend, but I did pick up another audiobook. I'm reading Princess Academy by Shannon Hale. I thought that I had read this one in middle school, but I think just everyone was talking about it, and maybe I read something similar because I don't remember it at all. But that one's been really good, just nice and light. I have an exam coming up on Wednesday, so I will be heading back to school for the day to take that. It is a 3-hour drive there and back, so a lot of driving, but worth it not to be in school leading up to Christmas. Hello, I'm back. My first exam is done and I have 2 reading updates. I finished Princess Academy the day before the exam. I listened to a lot of it on the drive there and it was so cute. I gave it 5 stars. It was really good, even though it's geared towards a little bit younger audience. Then I also ended up finishing Our Declaration by Danielle Allen. I ended up giving this 4 stars just because it was a little bit repetitive, especially towards the end. I think that's more to do with the nonfiction style. She's talking about how the Declaration's like a memo and legality, and the book at times felt a little bit like a memo, which I've read plenty of in law school, but the nature of that is just it's a little bit repetitive. It repeats the same ideas over and over again, so by the end I felt like it had been hammered home, and there were a couple of chapters where certain phrases she would just be saying over and over again, and that was a little bit irritating to me. But overall, great book, lots to think about. It was an interesting read of the Declaration. I've never looked at it that closely before. So I'm actually gonna end this vlog here because it's getting pretty long, so make sure you like and subscribe and don't miss the next one where I'm going to be getting into the next book about the American Revolution by Gordon Wood. Maybe I'll have to read a few other books in between all this nonfiction too. I also started the second Princess Academy book, Palace of Stone, on audiobook, so make sure that you don't miss that.